Good morning, John Birch for LoveShift. And this morning I'd like to use a little graph to demonstrate something that we feel is very important here on Earth at this moment in time. So here we have a little graph, and if you remember from high school or college, this is a function. This axis on the bottom is the independent variable, and the function on the top is the dependent variable. And what we can do now is we can say that if we press down on the gas pedal, that this actually makes our car go faster. If we eat more cheeseburgers, this makes us gain weight. So the thing that happens first is put down here on the x-axis, and this is the independent variable. This depends on it. So let's look at the evolution of consciousness now and see what has happened here on Earth. So what we're going to do is say, as time has gone on over here, over the many, many millions of years, we can say that consciousness has increased. It's one of the things you can look at the Earth, you can say diversity has increased, but as a function of time, as evolution has proceeded to the right, giving more hours, years, millennia, we've had more consciousness, okay? Now, the shape of that curve looks something like this. You have a long period of time where there was very little change, then you got biological life, and then you got abstract thought, the human enterprise, and where we are now, which is a very, very, very rapid rate of change. Down here, the function would be something like consciousness equals time. There's just very little rate change. Here it gets faster with biological change. Here with the human, now we have this rate of change. It's so radically steep. Now, what's interesting on this is that there is a value on the x-axis down here, the time axis. It's got a funny name. It's called the asymptote, A-S-S-Y-M-P-T-O-T-E. The asymptote is the value on the independent axis that this function cannot exceed. It mathematically simply cannot. Doesn't matter how you try to tweak it, try to go over it, try to go through it, even try to move this value down the timeline, it can't. It's math. So one day I had a vision as to what in the world are we going to do, and you can feel the situation on Earth is really coming up against this with population, with all the ridiculous wars that we have going on, the water issues, the thermonuclear threat, terrorism, all this. It's coming up against this, and how's this going to work? And in this dream, what happened was the axes shifted. And this is part of what we think is going to have to happen here on Earth, which is part of what we call LoveShift. The independent variable, the thing that we normally would have said we move, is now becoming consciousness itself. Consciousness itself is now the independent variable, and evolution, the future, is dependent upon it. This is a radical shift in functioning. Okay, let's see what that looks like. So now, if time is dependent upon consciousness, that's a big deal. So if that's the case, now what we have is humans that are becoming mature, fully responsible individuals, and as they get together in groups, we're getting a new expression of consciousness on Earth, which is collectivized. This is individual to the left over here. This is collective consciousness over here. Collective consciousness now is an incredible event. So if this dependent axis here has to do with evolution, if we say that this is evolution that's going to continue, if we want this to continue here, what has to happen is that down here we've got to get much, much more consciousness from the individuals and collectively. And if we do, we get the benefit of something that's really wonderful, and that is we get this energy that can be expressed as E equals mc raised to the power of c. This is E equals mc squared. This is E equals mc raised to the power of c. And this function we call big C. Big C over here is huge. This is a mathematical expression of global community. The relationship among conscious beings turns out to be hugely energetic. If we can get together as mature individuals here, taking on the responsibility of our own consciousness here as the independent variable, and that we say the future of life on Earth is now dependent upon us, and then secondarily, if we can do that in the collective as a group, using Facebook, Twitter, smartphones, Instagram, LinkedIn, we could actually get access to all of this energy, which is exactly what we need. This function describes the Neozoic era that we are moving into. Up here was the Cenozoic, this is the Neozoic, and evolution now depends upon us collectively. Individually as one dispensation, collectively as a second dispensation right now. So if you are interested in learning more about this, I encourage you to visit LoveShift, www.loveshift.com. We'll be making more videos. This one specifically deals with the axis shift, which is mathematically at the basis of what we think of with LoveShift, and it also tries to express how much energy is available down here when we become the independent variable, our consciousness, and then collectivize it up here as a group.